What if one small act of kindness could change a life forever? What if a simple lunch, shared in silence, planted the seeds of hope? This is the story of a hungry little boy and the teacher who refused to look away. Years later, destiny brought them together again, only this time, the roles had changed, and what happened next will touch your heart. It was a chilly winter morning. The classroom windows rattled with the cold wind, and little Daniel sat quietly at the back of the room, his stomach empty. At just 10 years old, he had already learned the cruel truth of poverty. His father had left years ago, and his mother worked long hours cleaning houses, barely making enough to keep the lights on. Food, most days, was a luxury they couldn't afford. Daniel's classmates laughed and shared their colorful lunchboxes, sandwiches neatly wrapped, apples polished, even little chocolates. But Daniel stayed quiet, pretending to be busy with his books. He didn't want anyone to know the truth, that he hadn't eaten since yesterday. His tiny hands clutched his worn-out pencil, but his mind couldn't focus. Hunger made the words on the page blur, his teacher, Ms. Thompson, noticed. She was the kind of teacher who didn't just teach lessons from books. She read the unspoken stories written in her students' eyes. Daniel's eyes told a story of sadness, of silent suffering. She saw the way he avoided the lunch table, the way he kept glancing at others' food and then quickly looking away. That day, during the lunch break, Ms. Thompson did something Daniel would never forget. She walked to her desk, opened her lunchbox, and quietly placed it in front of him. "Daniel," she said softly, "would you mind helping me finish this? I can't eat all of it by myself." His eyes widened. No one had ever offered him food like that before, not without pity, not without judgment. He hesitated, but her warm smile gave him courage. Slowly, he reached for the sandwich, and with trembling hands took a bite. The taste of bread, cheese, and kindness filled his mouth, and tears filled his eyes. For the first time in a long time, he felt seen. That moment stayed with Daniel. Not just the food, but the way Ms. Thompson gave it with dignity. She didn't make him feel small. She made him feel cared for. And though he was too young to fully understand it, that small act planted a seed deep inside him, a seed of hope, of possibility, of the belief that kindness could change lives. Life for Daniel didn't magically get easier after that day. The struggles continued. There were nights when the electricity went out because the bills weren't paid. There were mornings when he went to school with shoes too small, holes in the soles letting in the rain. Some of his classmates mocked him. "Why do you wear the same shirt every day?" They'd sneer. Others looked away, uncomfortable, pretending not to notice. The world can be cruel to those who have less, and Daniel felt the sting of that cruelty almost every day. There were times when he wanted to give up on school altogether. Hunger gnawed at him, and exhaustion made studying seem impossible. He thought, what's the point? Kids like me don't become doctors, lawyers, or anything special. We just survive. But every time he felt like giving up, he remembered Ms. Thompson's kind eyes, her gentle words, and that simple lunch. It wasn't just about food, it was about the message behind it. You matter. Don't give up. Still, the road was long and lonely. His mother worked herself to the bone, yet some nights they still went to bed hungry. Daniel tried to help by working odd jobs, delivering newspapers, washing cars, but it was never enough. The outside world seemed blind to his struggle. Teachers changed, classmates moved on, and life kept testing him. But deep down, that memory of being seen, of being cared for, became his quiet source of strength. One day, during a particularly hard exam, he almost walked out. His stomach rumbled so loudly that kids around him laughed. He felt shame burn in his cheeks. He wanted to run, to disappear. But then he remembered Ms. Thompson's words. "Would you help me finish this?" Those words echoed like a lifeline in his heart. He stayed, he wrote, he pushed through. Years passed like this. Struggle, endurance, and small sparks of hope. Slowly but surely, Daniel worked his way forward. He studied late into the nights, often by candlelight. He dreamed, not of wealth, but of becoming someone who could give back the way Ms. Thompson had given to him. But life still weighed heavy. College seemed impossible. How could a boy with nothing afford tuition? The odds were stacked against him. And yet, he refused to let go of that seed planted years ago. Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness is the only reason someone keeps fighting. Years turned into decades. Daniel's determination carried him through high school with top grades, then through scholarships that opened doors he never thought possible. He studied medicine with the same hunger he once had for food. This time, hunger for knowledge, for a future where he could help others. And one day, the little boy who once had no lunch became Dr. Daniel Carter. Life had come full circle. He wore his white coat with pride, but deep in his heart, he never forgot the teacher who fed him when he had nothing. Years later, fate wrote a beautiful chapter. Ms. Thompson, now older and fragile, was admitted to the hospital where Daniel worked. She was surprised when a young doctor walked into her room, his eyes filled with warmth. "Ms. Thompson," he said softly, his voice breaking, "do you remember me?" She looked at him, puzzled at first. Then her eyes widened. "Daniel?" Tears filled his eyes. "Yes, the boy you once shared your lunch with." Her lips trembled. She remembered that moment, though she had not realized its impact. Daniel stepped closer, holding her hand gently. "You probably don't know this, but that day you gave me more than food. You gave me hope. You made me believe that I mattered. And because of you, I'm here today, as a doctor." Ms. Thompson's eyes filled with tears. She had spent her life teaching, never knowing how deeply her kindness had touched lives. And now, one of those lives stood before her, not as a hungry child, but as a healer. From that day forward, Daniel made sure Ms. Thompson was cared for with the same love and dignity she had once shown him. Every meal, every medication, every comforting word, he gave back to her what she had given to him long ago: kindness. Their story became a living reminder that no act of kindness is ever wasted. What seems small today can bloom into something extraordinary tomorrow. Kindness doesn't always look grand. It can be as simple as sharing lunch. But in that moment, it can plant hope in a heart that feels forgotten. Ms. Thompson's kindness turned a hungry boy into a doctor. Her one small act came back to her, multiplied years later. Because kindness, once given, never truly disappears. It lives on forever.